What's going on, 20 somethings? I'm your host, Jacia Smalls, but you could call me J Couture, and you're now tuned into the 20 Till podcast. If you're watching now on YouTube, hey YouTube, make sure at the end of this video you head on over to your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, wherever you listen to podcasts, go listen to this full episode right now. But if you're listening on a podcast platform right now as we speak, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you give the podcast 5 stars, nothing less than. Make sure you're also keeping up with the 20 Till podcast on our website, www.20tillpodcast.com, and also follow us on our Instagram page at 20 Till Podcast. Today's episode is all about the fear of turning 25. Yes. So I want to do this episode in light of my birthday, which we're not going to get into when I'm actually recording this. And we're not going to get into when this actually drops because my birthday was December 29th of 2024. Yes, December 29th. And I turned 25. And to turn 25 is huge, especially in your 20s, because you're closer to 30. Hello? Hello? Is the fear in the room with us? Whoa, 25? That's a serious age. Like, there's no more games to be played. This is serious. This is serious. So let's talk about it. Before I get into like why I had the fear of turning 25, let's just take it way, way, way back. I think if you was to go back and ask high school Jace, middle school Jace, college J Couture, hello. If you were just to go ask her, where do you see yourself at 25? I would tell you, I see myself married. I see myself with my kid, my white picket fence, my big house, big boss, we're just running things. My man is a big boss himself. We're just making money. I got all the fancy cars in my driveway. The closet is just beautiful, bags on top of bags, and just yeah. that's where I saw myself at 25. Yes, back then. You couldn't tell me that wasn't, that wasn't able to be reached. You couldn't tell me. You couldn't tell me. And I mean, as you can see, you can look at me now. I don't none of that has came into existence. No marriage, no man. Hello, no kids. Which now I'm kind of like, oh, okay. I don't mind having, I don't mind having a kid right now. I'm fine with that. Cars in the driveway. There's one car in the driveway. She's a black Mazda. I do have bags in my closet, but not like handbags galore. You may see a couple designer pieces in there, but not by the galore, So some things, it's not really spot on, but we're building, we're growing. But in all, I think that honestly, I just thought 25, everything would have been figured out by now. Everything would have worked out. I would have had an understanding, a grasp on life, if you would say. And I don't have it all figured out. I don't. And that's okay. And that's okay. But I want to say, fast forward now, so I turned 25 the end of 2024. So when the beginning of 2024 came around, girl, I was in shambles. I was scared to turn 25. I literally had the fear of turning 25. And I think because the beginning of 2024, I didn't know what was up with life. I didn't know what to expect out of life. And I didn't know. I didn't know. And that's what put the fear in my heart of turning 25. 25 is it's a serious age. It's a big number, 25. Um, and I think you start to look back over your life and you think about all the things you have accomplished or what you could have accomplished, or maybe you feel like you probably didn't do enough. And I think I did have that mindset in my mind. And it just was like, At this point, I'm just here turning another age just to turn another age. Like, that's what it honestly felt like. At that moment, it was just like, I can't believe I'm about to be 25 and there's nothing to honestly look forward to. I can say that. There was nothing to really look forward to at that time. Um But you keep going. And I've talked about this in my intro episode of how I actually came about of the 22 podcast and the things that I was going through. So a lot of that is in correlation of why I felt the way I felt the beginning of the height of 2024. But yeah, I was like, I'm scared. I'm scared. And plus, I'm a Capricorn. If you're a Capricorn, hey, you already know how I feel about birthdays. Birthdays. I'm always iffy around birthdays. I love my birthday. I love being a Capricorn. I love having my birthday in December. But it's just something with me in birthdays. Like, I always have an idea of what I want to do for my birthday, and it just never comes to play. It never comes to terms. It never just happens, and I just get stuck doing something so simple and so just like, I don't feel celebrated. I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel like it's my birthday. I'm just making the best of it. And it was just like, girl, you're turning a big age, turning 25, and I was like, I want to do it big, but I don't feel like I'm just big to do it big. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, it's just every year. I just feel that way about birthdays. I don't know. I know other Capricorns can feel me on this, but if you're not a Capricorn, you can still feel me. Thank you for understanding. But I was very fearful of turning 25. I was. It's true that the fear of turning 25 is associated with societal pressures and personal pressures. Like I mentioned, your girl thought she was going to be married, husband, kids, career, 10 cars in the driveway, big house, you know? So you may feel like you're falling behind in your career. You don't have the relationship expectations. You don't have the financial stability that you thought you would. I graduated college 2022. After that, my reality was the same year after year. So I felt stuck. And it wasn't until I actually started working as a substitute teacher, and when I finally dropped the 22 podcast, I actually felt like, my train is moving a little bit. It's slowly moving. It's moving. And even though my life at this point wasn't how I thought it would be or imagined it would be, I felt at least it's moving. Like, at least I can feel like I have some type of grasp on my reality, or I feel like I'm making some type of progress. And I think when we take a step back and stop thinking of society and what society says 25 should look like, or what we see on social media, or even just besides all that, get out of our own heads and putting so much pressure on ourselves first, we can actually look at our life and say it's beautiful. And it sucks that I actually had to feel like I had like a grasp on reality when I started working and when I finally dropped my project, because I didn't drop the 22 podcast till about I didn't drop 22 podcast till like November of 2024. That's the end of the year. But before I even decided to drop it, of course, I was working on it. So every time I was dedicating my time towards it, when I was secretly recording before there was either a platform, I felt good. I felt like I was working on something, and because it was something that I loved and I birthed out of my own challenges I was going through and I was facing, I felt so connected to what I was sharing with the world. It felt good. Like, I can say at 24 turning 25, I launched a podcast that I was so scared of doing because I was scared to be real about what was going on in my life and be afraid of being judged or people like, dang, that's happening to her. Like she don't got it. She don't got it like she posting like how she got it, or life is not really going for her like how you would think it's going for her through social media, or just how she may be in public. I think starting something and actually being transparent about your life and what you have going on, there's going to be a negative side to it and a positive side to it. And I think as long as you look at the positive side to it, no one can tell you nothing. Like no one can tell you or say anything about you that would make you feel any way because you're comfortable with what you're doing. I started this podcast out of the stories I heard